uh, 50 to 350 Wisconsin's monthly meeting. My name's Julia Isaacs. I'm one of the co-leads of the monthly meeting team, which puts on the monthly meetings. And I want to introduce Cristina Cook, who is the woman behind the screen. And Marion is helping coordinate things like helping one of our speakers get on Zoom. And Susan is our remote person who is remote and on the monthly meeting team. So the recording's on. So next slide. So despite all this technology, we always want to ground ourselves in our appreciation of the land and acknowledge those that have stewarded the land for centuries before the colonial settlers arrived from Europe. So this photo I took on Thursday. It is of the backwaters of the Mississippi River. Is it just me or do I have an echo? It's just me. Okay. I do have an echo. Here, I can put the speaker further away. Is that better? It's probably not good for the people on Zoom. We'll work on it. Although you won't hear me for a moment because I'm about to invite us. This photo is of the backwaters of the Mississippi River. It's at the Trumpereau National Wildlife Refuge. So as we look at the photo, I ask that we each take 2 deep breaths together. Those of us who are here in the Friends Meeting House are on ancestral Ho-Chunk land. And I learned when I was looking at this last night or Sunday that these lands stretched, Ho-Chunk land stretched from this picture, the banks of the Mississippi River, the spot shown in this photo, over to Winnebago. I don't know if you can see on the map, the Winnebago Lake. This is a map of around 1800. And quoting from a Ho-Chunk website, the Ho-Chunk people's cultural ways, songs, and stories guide them with values of how to respect the land, the animals, and how to live in balance with nature. How is the volume in the room now? Better. How is the volume on Zoom? Hopefully it's good. Next slide. The next slide shows you the agenda. We've done the beginnings. In a minute, I'm going to turn it over to Stephanie Robinson, our co-executive director, who will introduce our panel. That is our main event, but we will have time near the end of meeting for different action updates from different teams that do and staff that do a lot of the work of 350 Wisconsin. And then at the end of the evening, we'll have time to network. Either the people on Zoom will network with each other and those in the room can network with each other. So with that, I think I'm going to turn it over to you, Stephanie.
Thanks so much, Julia. It's great to be here with everyone tonight. I have the pleasure of introducing our 3 panelists for tonight's very important discussion of climate justice and energy burden in Wisconsin. All 3 of them bring important perspectives, insights, and experience on this important topic. Next slide. Our first speaker is Liz Hachten. Liz joined 350 Wisconsin in 2021 as a volunteer with the Community Climate Solutions team, focusing on building decarbonization and energy justice. She brings research and communication skills developed in a 30-year career as a university professor and administrator to her role as lead of the Energy Equity Working Group, which has produced a series of 5 reports on low-income energy burdens in communities in South Central Wisconsin, including reports on Janesville and Beloit, prepared in collaboration with Wisconsin Eco-Latinos. Liz received her PhD in the history of science and medicine from the University of Wisconsin-Madison. Next. Next slide, thank you. Our next speaker will be Cristina Carvajal. She is the founder and executive director of Wisconsin Eco-Latinos, a nonprofit organization that strives to assist the Latino community in Wisconsin in combating environmental hazards and advocates for a just and sustainable environment. Cristina's petroleum and environmental engineering background has provided her with a distinctive outlook on environmental conservation. She's a member of several committees, including the Sustainable Madison Committee, the Lake Monona Waterfront Ad Hoc Committee, and the UW Public Health Institute Advisory Committee. Next, please. And last but not least, our third panelist tonight is Keviea Guiden. Keviea is the energy burden organizer with Citizen Action of Wisconsin and the Energy and Climate Project Coordinator for the Wisconsin Climate Table. Keviea has been a civically engaged grassroots organizer since 2018, advocating strongly for families in the 53206 zip code, as well as surrounding neighborhoods throughout Milwaukee. She led the Fight for Our Lights campaign, hosting rallies and protests against We Energy's rate hikes. Kevia's work has garnered attention from CNN, Washington Post, and other news outlets. She received the 2023 African American Environmental Pioneer Award, and her dedication and investment in Milwaukee are evident. Her commitment extends to advocating for energy burdens, clean water, social justice, fair housing, livable wages, and thriving neighborhoods. Keviea was born in Milwaukee and raised in the Hillside Projects, and she has 2 degrees from the MATC downtown campus. Next. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Liz Hachten.
Thank you, Stephanie, and thank you to everyone for coming out today. I'm really excited to be talking about this important issue with 2 such great panelists who will be able to bring their lived experiences to our discussion. Do you want to go to the next slide, please? So Stephanie asked me to start with some of the basics, just to make sure that we're all on the same page in talking about energy burden and climate justice. So what is energy burden? Basically, it's a measure of energy affordability, and it's a basic equation. You take your energy spending for the year and divide it by your household income, and that gives you your total energy burden. So for example, if you were to have $200 a month energy bills and a $2,400 for the year, and let's say your household had income at Madison's median income level of $90,000 a year, then your energy burden would be 2.7%. But if you had $1,500 of energy bills in a year and a household income of $20,000, which many people in Madison do, you would have an energy burden of 7.5%. So an affordable energy burden is defined as 6% or less of household income. So greater than 6%, we can call a high energy burden, and over 10%, a severe one. And I have a couple of figures there on the slide just to give you a sense of what average energy burden in Wisconsin and the cities that the 350 team studied is, just so you get a sense of that. And I should have added that nationwide, the energy burden is about, average energy burden is about 3%. Oh, and if you'd like to calculate your energy burden in greater depth, I highly recommend the Sierra Club's energy burden calculator online. Next, please. So, of course, the average energy burden doesn't give us any insight into the fact that there are many communities in the United States whose energy burden, who are disproportionately and severely impacted by energy burdens. This includes low-income communities, as well as communities of color, renters, households with children, seniors, rural households. All of those groups are disproportionately impacted. So in the American Council for an Energy Efficient Economy, which is sort of a leading organization doing research in this area, has estimated that about 25% of households in the US are energy burden. In other words, have energy burdens over 6%. And we should understand that the disparate impact on Black, Hispanic, Native American households, that's independent of the income disparity. So that is reflective, of course, of many aspects of historic segregation, redlining of communities, and so on that are still with us today. So energy impact, I'm sure we'll be hearing about this further this evening, but it can have a devastating impact on households. For highly burdened households, energy can be among the 3 or 4 top expenses in a household budget. It is associated with a number of negative health measures. About 20% of households, it's estimated, are energy insecure at certain points. In other words, unable to or struggling to pay their energy bills. And high energy burden can perpetuate cycles of poverty as well. Next, please. So, how is energy burden then connected, or especially high energy burden, connected to climate justice? That's the theme of this evening, and we'll be developing that further, but I wanted to show you this somewhat simplified diagram of some of the major drivers of energy burden so that you can see some of the ways in which climate justice and high energy burden are intertwined. So a couple of things that I would just note here is, first of all, climate change impacts are contributing to rising energy burdens right now. We see that through changing weather patterns, heating climate, and also increases in energy costs. Also, energy inefficient homes are one of the biggest drivers of energy burden. Lowest income households pay almost 30% more per square foot for energy than the wealthiest households in the United States. And that's due to lack of weatherization, inefficient heating and cooling systems and appliances and so on. So it's pretty clear that as we work to transition to a more sustainable, renewable energy system, and in the process want to reduce carbon emissions, that we can also be addressing high energy burden at the same time. But we need to do that in an intentional and deliberate way. It's going to take specific policies and programs. It's not just going to happen. So next, please. So what I'd like to turn to now is to talk a bit about the low-income energy burden reports that 350 has created in the last year and a half or so. They're all available online, and I urge you to go on and download them, look at them. I have to give a shout out to the great interns who worked on these reports with me. Erica, Isabel, Grace, Mia, Anna, Kylie. I hope I didn't forget anyone. They were outstanding. And Susan Millar as well, who worked on the first energy burden report and was sort of a guiding light for us. So we, as was already mentioned earlier, we have created energy burden reports for Madison, Fitchburg, and Middleton, which are communities where we have working groups, community working groups, and then in collaboration with Wisconsin Eco-Latinos produced reports for Janesville and Beloit as well. So I'm going to try to hit a couple of highlights of these in my remaining time. And if you could go to the next slide, I do have to give you a couple of definitions. First of all, I'll be talking about area median income when talking about low or extremely low income households. So area median income is just the midpoint of household income in a city or region. And when I talk about low income or extremely low income households, that those are terms that do have specific meaning in these reports. As you can see, that low income is defined as households with less than 80% of area median income, and then extremely low income households would be those with incomes less than 30% of area median income. And I would note that that last group includes households that are at or below the federal poverty level, but low income is not the same thing as poverty level. So those are, I just want to make sure everyone's clear on that. And then the data that we use for our reports come from a U.S. Department of Energy's online tool called the LEAD tool, which draws data from the American Community Survey from the Census Bureau. So it's an estimate. These are estimates and based on census surveys, so that everyone's clear about that. Okay, so what did we find out? Well, I'm highlighting, as I said, Madison, Janesville, and Beloit here. And this is sort of, I think, our key chart, our key graph in showing that energy burden is significant in both relatively affluent Madison as well as in the cities of all the cities in Dane County, as well as in Rock County as well. So the population is divided here into 5 income levels. On the left, 0 to 30%, area median income all the way to 100% plus. And you can see that for the extremely low income group, 0 to 30%, the energy burden, average energy burden ranges from 9% in Madison to 13% in Janesville to 16% in Beloit. And the energy burden is significantly lower for the next income group, which remember is also considered low income, but obviously definitely at a higher income level. Although in Janesville and Beloit, still a significant 6% average energy burden. So I think one thing that we noticed and took note of here is not just the higher energy burden in Janesville and Beloit, in cities with lower median income than Madison, but also to note that that both of those cities, the extremely low income group, have quite high gas burdens. Those are the top part of the bar. That is significantly higher in both of those cities than in Madison, which suggests, since natural gas is used primarily for heating, that does suggest that something about the conditions of housing in those cities, that they're extremely inefficient to heat, and that may be a source of much of the discrepancy. And in fact, in Beloit, we noted, looking at actual annual costs, that the extremely low income households in Beloit only paid about $10 or $20 less per month for gas than the highest income households. So the gap between those was quite narrow. Next, please. So some other key findings that from our study that really apply to all 5 cities really that we studied. First of all, highly energy burdened households are very likely to be renters rather than homeowners. In Madison, about 85% of low income households are renters. In Janesville and Beloit, it's about 61 to 65%. And that's a challenge. Because of something that is known as split incentives. You know, when you have a situation where tenants pay some or all of the energy bills, landlords are often disincentivized from addressing the weatherization or other energy efficiency steps that need to be taken. So that is something that definitely needs to shape, you know, policies going forward. Also, in all of these cities, it's smaller single family or smaller multifamily dwellings that tend to have the higher energy burdens. And of course, manufactured homes are just almost off the charts in terms of their high energy burden. But that again is a consideration in shaping policies. And then often, but not always, high energy burden is associated with much older homes, although I have to tell you the 1980s were not a great time for producing highly energy efficient homes. So that is not quite as clear across the board. In Janesville and Beloit, though, that is very striking that the housing stock is much older. So I'll just end with talking a bit about some of the insights we got into geographic and demographic disparities. The LEAD tool is limited in some ways in what it can tell us. And so that has been frustrating, but I'll show you what we could deduce using the LEAD tool and some other tools as well. So this map that we're seeing here is Madison. And you can see that energy, and this is a map of census tracts in Madison. So the LEAD tool allows us to drill down to the census tract level, which is usually about 3,000 or so population, give or take. Some census tracts are bigger, some are a bit smaller. The darker colors on this map show census tracts with higher than the Madison average energy burden. And so they range from 3 or 4% to that really dark blue one on Lake Mendota near the Madison campus, which may be an artifact of some kind, because that's actually the heart of the campus. So I'm not quite sure who lives there. But anyway, up to 7 or 8%. So you can see, looking at this distribution, that the campus area is one area where there's definitely higher than average energy burden census tracts. So again, it's at the census tract level. A lot of Madison census tracts vary by neighborhood within a census tract. So that's why this is a little limited in what we can see here. But you can see that on the periphery of Madison, and sort of almost tracing the outline of the Beltline, you can see a number of census tracts with higher average energy burden, including on the north side, the far east side, and the south side. And the census tracts that have the asterisks on them are tracts with large BIPOC communities. So you can see that there is definitely an intersection in Madison between census tracts that are more diverse than the Madison average and energy burdened area. And we also looked at Justice 40 disadvantaged communities, used a screening tool to determine that a number of census tracts in Madison that are considered disadvantaged communities by the Biden administration. The Justice 40 initiative is an initiative to make sure that investments flow to the most disadvantaged communities, that many of those census tracts in Madison overlap with energy burden communities. So the final slide that I'll show you shows these same patterns in Janesville and Beloit, and I won't talk about this in depth, except to say that similar patterns prevail in Janesville and Beloit, where especially the energy burden communities are very heavily Black, Hispanic, and multiracial communities, and where there's some quite severe environmental and health burdens that are faced by the population. So that's my segue to turn it over to Cristina, who I think will tell us more about that.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Liz. Thank you for inviting us. I'm really happy to be here. So as Stephanie said, my name is Cristina Carvajal. I'm the founder and executive director of Wisconsin Eco-Latinos. We have been working with the Latino community to engage them to take action in climate change. Thank you. Part of our mission has been to address environmental justice. And as you know, as many of you have heard, minorities, Latinos, and Black communities often bear a heavy burden, environmental burden. I'm going to share this map. It's from the CDC. They developed this environmental justice index tool. And as you can see, they take into account environmental burden, social vulnerability, or health vulnerability, and then they create this index, and they show us, the areas where people is highly vulnerable for different, for the factors, environmental issues, and of course, climate change comes into place too. This one in particular, it looks really small there, but you can see just one area. This map shows Dane County, and the blue areas are the areas with the highest environmental index. That means that they probably have bad air quality. Maybe they're going to be exposed to air pollution, or there are other factors that maybe they're too close to highways. Maybe the water, there is water quality issues too. So then, kind of like makes us think, why, like, what can we do, right? We need to act. We need to take action to help communities that are more vulnerable to environmental burden. Can you have the next slide, please? So this one is from the same environmental equity tool, but it's from Rock County, and it's showing us, the blue areas are around Janesville and Beloit that Liz was talking about too. And of course, the blue color means that they have a higher environmental burden. So if we think about this, environmental justice from the environmental justice eye, and then we overlap energy burden, right? Then we're thinking, climate change is coming, it's happening. We're having weather events such heat waves. And then on top of everything, we have urban heat islands. So if we overlap all these factors, we're going to have communities that are extremely vulnerable to climate change. And on top of everything, they're going to be affected by energy burden, because if they live in a disadvantaged area, exposed to environmental burdens, and they have to pay more for energy, then we're going to have, a disproportionate disadvantaged communities. Can you, the next slide, please? Yeah. So this one also shows us another tool just to basically, this tool um, takes into account energy burden too, in addition to all other environmental burdens. And it's showing, kind of like the same areas, that are affected. And we, like as a nonprofit organization, that cares for minorities and Latinos, it's our mission to address these issues and try to find, ways to help our community in these areas. About a couple of years ago, we had the opportunity to work with the Latino Academy in a energy efficiency program. That was with Dane County, and we had a group of people, group of Latinos, and we were teaching them, like everything about energy efficiency, why is this important? And they were very interested to hear about the links between energy efficiency and climate change, right? Because they have never thought about that. But some of the issues that we encounter, even then, was the fact that many of the people lived in rental units. So if they live in rental units, then it's almost, they feel like it's out of their control to do anything about energy efficiency. Still, they try. They were very interested in learning about focus on energy rebates and the energy pacts. And then they learn about it, and then they were just so happy to tell, all their neighbors about that they could claim these energy packs for free. None of them knew about this. No one knew about any of these issues or, any there's the easy practices to do energy efficiency or anything about any focus on energy. So this makes us think, in now that we have IRA, it's a great opportunity to make sure that these people, these communities benefit from the rebates and discounts and all the things that IRA is bringing. But still, what I think, there's a lot of work to do. It's not going to be easy because the way IRA is being set, it's complex, very complex. We have already tried, we have already talked to people about it, and we have encountered already a few roadblocks. Someone that we talked to said, oh yes, we tried to get a heat pump, and then we talked to a contractor, and then the contractor said that it didn't advise to get a heat pump because they said that the heat pump was not gonna warm their house in the winter. So the contractor was already misinformed for one reason or another. The other issues that we have encountered also is that, the complexity of who gets tax rebates, they really need to learn about, it's part of our job, actually, I feel like, is to disseminate the correct information of how people can get the appropriate technology, the appropriate upgrades in their house to get the tax rebates. So I know of someone that actually adopted, they got a heat pump, but the specific heat pump didn't qualify for the tax credits. So that's really discouraging for us because we're trying to convince people already, to adopt something new, a new technology, and it happens that it didn't work out for them. So those are some of our experiences in this, with these new programs from IRA. Still, we want to keep working with it. We've been working with Liz and 350 to create a program where we could create like some sort of navigator, bring a navigator program to the areas, Dane County and Rock County. And hopefully, we're gonna keep working on it. Anything else that I'm missing? Okay, Ed, thank you. Absolutely.
Thanks so much. Our third speaker is on Zoom tonight. It's Keviea Guiden. So Keviea, you ready to take it away?
All right, all right. Hello, everybody. How y'all doing? My name is Keviea Guiden, the Community Commitments Campaign Project Coordinator here with the Wisconsin Climate Table. I just want to say thanks for having me. This is something that is very near and dear to my heart, my mind, my body, and my soul. And I just want to let you guys know a little bit about what the work I've been doing and how I got started and what I'm going to continue to do to combat energy burdens. So I've been meeting with top and grassroots organizations and talking to residents to see how they feel. And feel free to, I only got a couple of slides to flick the next slide. It's really just basically gonna show you some of the work that I've been doing as far as working with the residents and in the community and with different events that I host or I am possibly a guest at. So as I was saying, I've been speaking and talking to grassroots and top organizations, talking to residents to see how they feel about the rise in energy burden costs and the effects it has on low income, impoverished, redline BIPOC communities. During these meetings and relational conversations, we identified common issues in southeastern Wisconsin neighborhoods: social injustice, livable wages, energy burdens, clean water, climate and equity plans, and fair housing are just some things. The real question is, how can we collaborate and educate these communities on climate change and the impact it has on all of our lives? The only way we can bring about change is through power, and there's power in numbers. I have experienced energy burdens with an S, so I can relate with the folks in the neighborhood. I started organizing around 2018 around voters' rights and elections. Once I got in the field and started connecting with the residents, it was then when I knew the work I was doing was well needed and wanted. I discovered that there were other issues that needed to be addressed as well: affordable energy, and clean health water were among many others that were equally important. These are basic needs that are essential to life, to live a thriving life. It's the resident who constantly reminds me on a daily basis how imperative the work I do is, which keeps me energized. I am a trusted voice in our BIPOC communities, and I'm honored to be. We must transition our communities to renewable clean energy. It is the raw emotions, feelings, and effects that I capture in these energy burden stories that stand out the most. You have to know who your targeted audiences is. And I believe I've got a second slide if you want to show that. That is also just a little bit more of what I've recently been doing as well. Where am I? Which keeps me energized. Like I said, I am a trusted voice in these communities, and I'm honored to be. We must transition our communities to renewable, clean energy. It is the raw emotions, feelings, and effects that I capture in these energy burden stories that stands out the most. You have to know exactly who your targeted audiences are. These are folks' personal life hardship stories that they openly shared with me. Nothing has surprised me because I live in the same communities. Commonality between these stories is the hurt, the pain, and how hardship during the pandemic and rising inflation has affected all of us in some sort of way. If I could have one wish granted from We Energies at this time, it would be to create a program which would weatherize uninsulated houses and help landlords move toward green energy by making solar panels for rooftops affordable, so We Energies can stop, for one, burning coal and fossil fuel, because not only are they killing the planet, they're killing the people. I've taken multiple measures in combating energy burden here in Milwaukee. On October the 9th, and you all should just come on down and support the work that I'm doing in 2023 of this year, the PCS, the Public Service Commission, will be hosting 2 listening sessions, which I will attend and testify in total favor for a new program to be implemented called the PIP, Percentage Income Payment Program. I've collaborated with Focus on Energy. I'm sure you guys may have heard of them over in Madison, and recently have been distributing weatherization kits and water saving kits throughout Milwaukee to ensure folks are using less energy to keep warm this winter, and hopefully saving a few bucks on their utility bills. On September 2nd, I was a guest on WNOV 860, which is known for urban talk in our Black communities for the past 77 years. Just this past Saturday, I held a leadership team meeting, and currently I am heading a campaign called Fight for Our Lights. I've hosted multiple rallies and protests, just to name a few things. We all want fresh air to breathe, good jobs to sustain our families, and planet where our lands and water thrive. The part I love the most is connecting with residents and them trusting me so that their voices are heard loud and clear. Trisha Herman quoted, this is one of the residents. She said, "I cried in front of the utility workers when my grandmother's lights got cut off. I was a free lunch kid, so it's not my first time experiencing financial hardship. It was our first time getting shut off. But I tried to lower my bills. Also, I stopped using my dishwasher, limited my washer and dryer use, trying to be more efficient. I even switched to energy saving light bulbs." Richard Holder, which is a young man that I talked to actually just less than 48 hours ago, he quoted, "My experience with We Energies when my lights got cut off was the most frustrating and disappointing feeling in the world." He stated that he had to rob Peter to pay Paul. I'm sure you all have heard of that expression before, meaning I took from my rent money and paid my lights to be reconnected, and suffered with my rent, which I also still had to pay. I ended up borrowing money from my brother and his wife to meet the need for my rent, knowing that I had to sacrifice my rent in order to get my lights back on. Sad, but very true. These are the times that we're living in, folks. And I just want you guys to know I will not give up. I will continue to fight for what's right. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much, Kiva, and thanks to all of our panelists. Such great presentations tonight. We're going to be opening it up for questions, but I had a couple of questions for our panelists first. You've done such an amazing job of kind of helping us understand what the problems and issues are, and would love to hear your thoughts on some of the solutions. Who would like to go next?
Yes. So definitely we need to work on outreach programs to have people understand, the need to become energy efficient. Of course, move decarbonization and electrification, beneficial electrification, and the adoption of clean energy. And I always feel that like we're behind, like we need to work harder. We have this fantastic opportunity with the IRA investment, but still I feel like it's not enough. We need to work harder to make sure that people, number one, knows about it, because most people don't know about the benefits of IRA. And number two, there is, like the new technology, like the heat pump technology and all this. I always feel like we're behind because people don't know about it, and then we're gonna take time to teach people, and then for them to adopt technology. Still, I think it's it's our job to promote this, all this information, and do outreach as much as we can, to let people know, what can they do to move into clean energy and electrification.
Do you want to go ahead next, Liz, and then we'll take some.
Okay. Okay. I'll just second what Cristina said and just add to that, information is part of the barrier. There's an informational barrier, but there are also barriers of trust. And so involving community-based organizations or organizers like Keviea, members of frontline communities is going to be central, that we have to ally with those groups and partner with them, because those are the people who will be able to get the message out to communities. And then there's incredible administrative hurdles as well, just transactional hurdles. I mean, I don't know if anyone has ever looked to see what it takes to apply for energy assistance in the state of Wisconsin. I mean, it's sort of mind-boggling, the bureaucracies that people have to navigate. And we have to make sure that IRA is not going to be one of those, impenetrable thickets of, of information, and especially, think about you need financing in place, potentially you need connections with contractors. And so all of that has to come together, which is why I think Cristina mentioned navigator programs, or sometimes called one-stop shops, where people can be guided through the process, because, let's face it, not everyone is as into sort of the policy side as some of the people in the room here. And so, people don't have time with full-time jobs and families and so on to figure this all out. So it's outreach is a first step, but it is going to take quite a lot to pull this off.
Thank you so much. So just a quick question for Keviea, if you're still with us. You've been so successful in building community engagement around the issue of energy burden, and just wondered if you could share with us what you think some of the keys are to this success and what recommendations you have.
Well, can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Okay. I was at another event and we were locking up, so I'm actually walking to my car. So give me 1 second. But I do believe part of the success to what I've been doing is basically just getting out on the ground, being in a community, knocking doors, making phone calls, having follow-up calls, just being intentional about the work itself. And you must meet people exactly. I'm in the car now. Sorry, guys. But you have to meet people exactly where they're at, and I think just, you have to, I have a burning passion for the work that I'm doing. So it's not only the energy burden stuff, it's the climate stuff, it's the flooding, there's all of these different issues that are affecting these communities, and these issues have been here, so it's not like they're new. The only thing is that there's more light being shed, which is totally a blessing. But what I do know is that there's more work that needs to be done. I'm the only person here, the only energy burden organizer in the city of Milwaukee. Now, I almost want to say the state of Wisconsin, because I haven't met any other energy burden organizers since I've been organizing, and I've been doing this for a little over a year. I've been doing climate work, longer than that. I've been volunteering for energy burden for at least 2.5 years before it became one of my main jobs. But I think just understanding where these communities are hurt the most, and where their minimum wage is still only $7.25. here in Milwaukee. Okay. So you want to talk about medium incomes or lesser than lower income, extremely lower income. Imagine if you're on a fixed income with 2 or 3 babies, that's stair steps. Imagine if you're an elderly person, a senior citizen, and you are on a fixed income. Rent is really high here in the city of Milwaukee as well. So if landlords are going up on the rent with no one to hold them accountable for, and these houses are uninsulated, unweatherized, if Focus on Energy is not doing what they're supposed to do as far as making sure that folks know that these kits are free. I'm volunteering my time for that as well. I'm not getting paid for that. But I love the work that I do, and I also do not want to see or to continue to see these communities that are already hurting and need and should be thriving like everything and everybody else in the world. Now, I don't know. Hopefully I answered that question. If not, I'm open for more questions.
Thank you so much, Keviea. I know we have some questions in the chat that I think Susan's going to help out with.
Yes, thank you so much. Why don't we go to Deanna's question? If landlords are purchasing appliances and in control of insulating the facilities, what specific control does a renter have? Thank you.
So your question is what can the renter request or okay. Basically nothing really. It's just unfortunate, but yeah, in Wisconsin they don't really have they use I think there has to be a functioning appliance, but that's it. I don't think they can request efficient appliances. What we know is with IRA, renters can buy appliances, get the rebates, and own the appliance. Basically, if they move, they can just take the appliance for them, right? Because they own the appliance. That's that's something that probably could benefit renters too.
Can I say something to that? So I said, can I answer that as well?
Yes, please.
Oh, so what I do know is that refrigerators and stoves is only one issue. That is only one part. The big thing besides that, we have to keep in mind that the way we're heating our homes, the way we are keeping cool, and that is through fossil fuel and coal. And so these things are not healthy for us or the planet. With that being said, we need to be making sure that these houses are insulated. These houses need to be upgraded. If the houses itself is not upgraded, the appliances that's just a smaller end because you're trying to stay warmer. So you're cranking up the heat, to stay warmer, but the heat is going out if there's creaks and crevices in the house, if there's drafts through windows and doors, so I think we like the one of the big focuses is getting these houses weatherized, because you will see a tremendous difference when like outlets, even with outlet coverings, if you put the outlet coverings underneath the outlets, the light switches and the plugs, like if you even it's so many smaller things, but you got to think like, who are these landlords? Or like, is the landlords older people? And in Milwaukee and in other places, a lot of times, these things are, which goes back to 1930 with the homeowners loan committee, which was the government agency. So we know that we are in grade D areas versus surrounding communities with grade A areas. Okay.
Thank you, Keviea. Do we have time for a question from the audience? one. I'm gonna get down there.
Thank you. I'll come over here. So, hey, Kiva, it's Don. I had a question for
Hey,
you.
Don.
Hey,
How's it
you talked
going?
about the percentage of income payment program just briefly, but I wonder if you can talk about that a little bit more in terms of the difference it would make. You know, both Northside Rising and Walnut Way have proposals. How much difference would this make to the people in the Milwaukee area for this sort of program?
Oh, okay. So the PIP, okay, so they've already got it like low income pilot programs and different things to target low income family households. Well, I would be considered almost like the working poor, but a little fortunate. But just because I have a little extra money or I make $2 or $3 over, I'm just using me as an example. But say if I just made $20 or $3 over whatever it is that they say is low income, if we get this PIPP program, that would target working families, working people. And so what we want to do, okay, we've heard earlier about the 6 to 8 to 10 or sometimes 20%, depending upon how large the house is and how large your income is. But if we get this program implemented, we are targeting to close the gap in between disparities. So that would be the surrounding white communities only pay 2.1% of their income. We want to pay the same 2.1%. And also there are other races that live within my community as well. So we all need to be, in this thing together. It's just basically where one is living. So we want to make sure that the working class people have a fair share and a shot too. Because just because I make a little bit more money, that doesn't mean that I should have to pay any extra. And so with the PIP program, like I said, we want to be able to help out working families, working households, and to close that disparity gap. Did I hit it, Don? Don?
Well,
Did I?
yes, that was great. Let's give this panel a round of applause. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.
You guys can just take a seat.
There are a couple questions in the chat, so I don't know if people could
Hi,
answer them.
Susan.
Mhm.
Yes, it's 8 o'clock, and so we were gonna we can't get to all the questions in the chat, I don't think. Sorry about that. There's a question about event dates. Can you ask the question? Oh, you can't because you don't have a microphone. Susan, can you ask the question about event dates?
Yes, Chelsea has a question. What are the event dates in October for the Climate Table Citizen Action Wisconsin? Also, how do we participate in grassroots and collect these stories and make these connections? How does one schedule opportunities for grassroots?
Okay, great. I so need so much help, and I really appreciate you guys. I don't know. Stephanie, can you drop my information in the chat? You guys are more than welcome to send me an email. But if not, my phone number is 414-841-3839. Call me anytime. I'm working now, so I'm always working. I don't have small children or grandchildren, so we do not have to worry about disrupting any of that stuff. But hey, October the 9th, there will be 2 sessions. You guys ready? October the 9th, 2023. 2:00 p.m. is the first session, and 6:00 p.m. is the second session. The address is 3045 North Martin Luther King Drive, and we are going to be at the Clinton Rose Senior Center. Clinton Rose Senior Center. Okay. Did you guys get it? 3045 North Martin Luther King Drive. And I think that's 53212 here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Thank you. Okay. So again, thank you to the panelists, both in Milwaukee and here in Madison. We are going to take a little time at the end of our meeting for our action updates. I want to start off by asking Nikki to introduce our newest staff member.
Hello, everyone. So I am really happy to announce something that we're very excited about. We recently, had been hiring for the fossil fuel organizer, the position previously filled by Phyllis, and we have made a hire. Her name is Brittany Reamer. She is here tonight to introduce herself. She is absolutely wonderful and has done some organizing work with the Poor People's Campaign. We're very excited to have her join us. She just started a couple days ago. So I'm going to pass it off to Brittany to just do a brief introduction of herself here.
Thanks, Nikki. I'll put my video on really quick in case we can pop my face up there. So as Nikki said, hi everyone. As Nikki said, my name is Brittany Reamer, and I live in Wausau. I've been here for about 11 years now. And my primary focus with 350 Wisconsin is going to be, doing the work to stop Line 5 right now, but I will be also organizing around pretty much all things fossil fuels related. And on a personal level, I have done a lot of organizing with the Wisconsin Poor People's Campaign. So in addition to that, I grew up in poverty, and I've spent a lot of my adult life as a low-income person. So everything that has been shared tonight has really resonated with me. I just want to share super quick that, like we've heard a lot tonight, there are so many things that we're experiencing and going through that are interconnected with each other. And that is kind of one of the things I really like to focus on, is the interconnectedness of everything, and listening to people's stories and sharing stories. It's just so powerful. And I also believe that the fossil fuel industry is at the core of all of these issues that we're facing, whether it's our lack of healthcare access or mass incarceration, militarism, poverty, not just here in Wisconsin, but across the entire globe. And I believe that while we might not be able to outfinance them, we can outnumber and outorganize them. And we can demand that they're stopped and that a just transition is made, because, the literal survival of the planet and everything on it is at stake here. So thank you so much for welcoming me into the space and onto your team. And I am really excited to get to know all of you and to grow with you all. So thank you so much.
Welcome, Brittany. And Nikki, let's keep you up for Volunteer of the Month.
Yes, wonderful. So you may see a familiar face here. We just had Liz Hachten as one of our panelists today, and we have been so grateful for everything that Liz has been doing and has done with 350 Wisconsin. So obviously you heard about her really fantastic work with the energy burden, and with the rate case, and there is so much going on beneath the surface as well. You might have heard her mention that a lot of the work within the energy burden space was also supported by interns. And some of those interns were supported by Liz, were supervised by Liz. She has a great way of getting our young people involved and engaged and excited about these topics, providing guidance that is really helpful for them to develop their careers and their skills. And that is just bringing on her knowledge to the next generation as well. She also, we talked there was a little bit of a mention of the rate case, but she has been diligently working lately to submit a long and involved testimony for the rate case. And this is not something to sneeze at. This was a huge amount of work. dedicated by Liz to push for sustainable and equitable solar power here in Wisconsin. So Liz is an asset in every single way. All of the things she's been doing are incredibly impressive. And we really thank her for being here tonight to be a speaker as well. So thank you so much, Liz. Really appreciate it and happy to have you continue with us as well.
Thank you. And I didn't introduce Nikki properly. She's our volunteer engagement coordinator. So if you're new, hopefully you'll get a chance to meet her. But before I ask new people to stand and wave, I'm going to ask Emily to come up. And Emily, you can just take this mic and speak into the camera.
Hi, everybody. My name's Emily. I think probably seen me before. Yeah, thank you to all of our speakers tonight. But something that Liz particularly touched on in her part of the presentation were these rate cases that are going on. So you've gotten emails about them from me. You've probably seen other materials out there, but essentially 2 of the utilities active in the Madison area and throughout the state, Madison Gas and Electric and Wisconsin Power and Light, have these proposals out there that would increase rates for pretty much everybody, but as we heard earlier, particularly impacting low-income BIPOC households. And they also have proposals on the table that would make it much harder to afford solar panels. And luckily, you have the opportunity to speak out. We have a blog post here. I think someone's going to post it in the chat. You are able to submit public comments to Madison Gas and Electric through Tuesday, September 26th. You do not have to be an MG&E customer. And then for Wisconsin Power and Light, you can show up to one of the public hearing sessions. That's next Wednesday, September 13th. At 1 or 6 p.m. And there's a Zoom and an in-person option. And then WPL will also be taking public comments through Wednesday, October 4th. So yeah, check out that blog. That'll have talking points that you can familiarize yourself with the issue, and then write a comment about why you believe that energy should be affordable and sustainable for everyone. Next, please. And related to this, so you've seen Staying Alive, you've seen Puppet Man, you've seen all the really great, amazing things that the Art Collective has done, but now we're going to have a new one for you. I'm not going to tell you much more about it, but we're going to be rallying at the farmers market at our usual corner, North Hamilton corner, so the north corner of the square, on September 23rd. And we're going to be rallying in support of affordable solar energy. And I don't want to give anything else away, except that it's going to be a really cool dance, and you're going to get to see me be really bad at dancing. So 10 a.m. Thank you. My final announcement, I think we are really excited to announce our brand new Natural Climate Solutions team. So you might have been familiar with the Agricultural Policies and Practices team, which was part of the Dane County Working Group within Community Climate Solutions. And they have done such amazing work that we are really excited to build on their work in this new Natural Climate Solutions team. So this team will be working on sustainable and regenerative agriculture, forest stewardship, and community-led natural climate solutions. We have a couple of upcoming events. On October 17th, we're going to be having a webinar and panel discussion about how the Farm Bill could be a climate-friendly Farm Bill. This is going to be separate from our usual monthly meeting, so it's a separate event. We'll still have our usual October meeting. And then the team will also be hosting 2 film screenings in Mount Horeb. So one on October 9th, Kiss the Ground, and then one on October 18th, The Ants and the Grasshopper. The film screenings information, I think, is on our Facebook page now or will be shortly. And then more information will be coming about the webinar and panel discussion. And if you want to learn more about the team or join us, you can email me. There's my email address on the slide, or Mike Friend, who is one of our other amazing volunteers. He's been leading the Agricultural Policies and Practices group, and we are so excited to have him helping lead the Natural Climate Solutions team. I think that's all of my slides.
And I forgot to say that Emily Park is our second co-executive director along with Stephanie. So you get to hear from both of them. You're what, 5 days into your new job, 2 weeks, 5, whatever. We have a lot of appreciation for you. Russ, you see the slide. This must be you. Come on up.
So yes, this Sunday is the parade for the Willie Street Fair. What we're doing in that parade is more than just a 350 Wisconsin entry, because in addition to the Stayin' Alive dance and the Chariot of the Great Turning, we will also have a banner expressing our solidarity with the big march in New York City that day, which is calling for an end to fossil fuels. At this point, we're not recruiting more dancers, although they're certainly welcome. But what we really need are people, up to 40 people, to wear a critter hat, which is an optional thing, and then carry your choice of 3 different kinds of beautiful signs, streamers, banners that we've got, including a whole bunch that we just wheat pasted from the People versus Fossil Fuels group that we got. We really need people to just come and take photos and video or to cheer us on. We were super well received last year, and it seems like a crowd that would be super ripe for picking for new 350 members. The whole parade is only about 45 minutes, a great time to bring a friend who might be interested in our work. Again, the little thing up shows that at 10:30 is like the latest you should show up. It's always a chaotic start to the parade, which is actually promptly at 11, but until that point, it's a mishmash. So the other thing that's really important is that the reason that we are getting a booth to table both Saturday and Sunday at the fair is that we do some cleanup and some recycling work. It's easy, but we desperately need people to sign up for tabling and recycling. As of this morning, there were only 2 of our 18 slots filled for that purpose. So if you go to the newsletter, or maybe someone can put this in the chat, it's out of my pay grade, but if you could sign up for for the recycling, that would be awesome. Sierra Club is also someone that we've teamed up with in the past and are teaming up with in some ways today, right? We're going to for this parade. If you can't sign up, I know somebody had trouble signing up on this, then just contact Diane or myself. But it's a really fun time, and hope you can make it.
Thank you, Russ. And I'm not doing well with introducing. Russ is the co-lead, one of the co-leads of the Art Collective team. For those of you who are new, who is new? Can you raise your hand if you're here for the first time? Welcome, welcome. I want to welcome you even more. And on Zoom, I'm sure we have more new people. But you can see we have different teams, collectives, and you're meeting some of us, not all of us, but some of us today. I believe Kristen Clark, is your title development manager? Kristen, correct me if I'm wrong and make this announcement.
That is my title indeed. Hello, everyone. So glad to be here with you this evening as we wrap things up. I wanted to take a minute here and invite you all to our Let's Get Together event at the Olbrich Beer Garden. This is going to just be a really fun event for everyone to get together. We're going to be celebrating our outgoing executive director, John, for all the wonderful contributions he's made for the organization as he transitions out of that role, as well as just giving a warm welcome and celebrating our new co-executive directors, Emily and Stephanie. But it's just going to be a really great time to connect with everyone within the org as well. So we want just to invite you all. It's going to be Thursday, September 21st, 5 p.m. to 7:30, and then our rain date would be the following week if needed to. And I see in the chat that thank you, Mariah, has been putting the links to sign up. But if for the people who are there in person, you can just find the event on the website. It's just our Let's Get Together at Olbrich Beer Garden at 350wisconsin.org. So that's the Ulbrich Beer Garden. And then I'm going to be bad and sneak in a couple other quick things. I want to say thank you so much to all of our volunteers who came out to Taste of Madison last weekend. We had a really great time. We're still waiting to hear back about our final numbers of how much money we were able to raise, but I'm feeling really good about the event. And again, just so grateful for everyone who took time on their Saturday to come help out. I had a lot of fun working on the second shift. And then my last thing is just to invite you all to our fundraising team meeting next Wednesday evening. Here on the development team, we're heading into Giving Tuesday and the end of the year, which is our biggest time of the year for fundraising. The fundraising we do in the next couple months is really what is going to carry us through for the rest of the year, as far as getting all the resources we need to really support all the incredible work that you all do year round. So please come join us at the fundraising team meeting next week. It'll be loads of fun. That's all. Thank you all.
Thank you. And now, next slide, I wear two hats. I'm a monthly meeting co-lead and I'm my Divest and Defund co-lead. And in that second hat, I want to let you know that we've been organizing peaceful sit-ins inside banks. The reason we do this is to put pressure, particularly on Chase Bank, the #1 funder of fossil fuels, to stop funding new fossil fuel expansion projects. Would you like to join us? Whether you have sat in a bank before or not. In order to do it, you can't really just walk in and sit in the bank without any preparation. So we are going to have a training kickoff for the fall bank actions. We've done 3 actions, we being a number of people in this room and on the Zoom room. We've done 3 actions so far this year. We want to do 3 more in the rest of the fall. And to do that, we need help from all kinds of support roles, whether it's holding a banner, holding the wallet of somebody who's risking arrest, or risking arrest yourself. To register, you can contact me, or Seth is in the back of the room, the in-person room where the co-leads, we read that email, divest.defund@350wisconsin.org. I happen to know you'll get an email in your box tomorrow advertising this, and there'll be a way to register there. And that photo of the police car coming up is at when we did this on July 29th. So back to being monthly meeting co-lead, I want to let you know that our next monthly meeting will be the first Monday in October. Seth Jensen is helping organize a meeting on Know Your Audience, Communicating to Win Your Climate Campaign. And that one will be Zoom only, so don't come to this room. Next slide. There was some question about, how do you get connected with all this, especially for the newcomers, and welcome everyone who's new. There's all these teams. You can just contact a team lead and they'll be delighted to tell you about their team. Also, Nikki Darga knows what every team's doing. So you can just contact her and she'll put you in touch. And we're going to have on the Zoom room, the newcomers can meet with Nikki, and here in person, Emily Park will meet with the newcomers in that room right there. And I put up on the slide that there were meetings on Monday nights, a bunch of go back up 2 slides for 1 second. Just want to list out all the teams that we have. Tar Sands, Climate Justice, Community Action Team, Divest and Defund. We all meet on Monday nights. The next slide shows that the Art Collective, the Community Climate Solutions Team, the State Policy Team. We just heard that fundraising is having a meeting coming up on a Wednesday, and our monthly meeting team, we meet on a different day every month, so just contact me. I think at this point, final slide. Oh, so we can stop the recording if we have not already. And